Good afternoon. Please be seated.
On a matter of privilege.
The honourable member for Fort Garry on a matter of privilege.
Yesterday during question period, the Premier rose in this chamber and made a personal attack on me. And I'll quote from Hansard. The context of it, he was making comments about the MLA from Dawson Trails leaving the PC caucus. Heckling ensued, including my full name being shouted out in this House, which was recorded in Hansard and appears in Hansard, to which the Premier responds, "Yes, we ejected an unethical NDP MLA. You did not have the courage to do the same." Well, there's a long-standing rule in this chamber that remarks which question a member's integrity, honesty, or character are not in order. The Premier was not called to order nor asked to withdraw the offensive remarks, as is the custom in this House. Unparliamentary language is also not allowed, and members must respect the integrity for all members. Personal attacks, insults are not allowed. A direct charge or accusation against a member may be only by way of a substantive motion for which a notice is required. There have been no allegations ever made against me, and there has never been any substantive motions involving me. And of course, for support of this is House of Commons and Procedure and Practice, page 620, 623, 3rd edition, Bosque and Gagnon. The Premier has long established a pattern of demeaning and disrespectful behaviour in this House. It's been allowed to continue without comment or correction. It sets the tone for this chamber, and many of his members mimic the Premier's behaviour. It seems to provide a permission structure for the worst elements in this chamber. None of this is in the public interest. Manitobans are losing faith in this government. A serious government doesn't need to demean and insult their opposition. The freedom of speech that we enjoy this chamber comes with a responsibility, and the first responsibility is to not abuse the right. The public isn't served by mean-spirited and petty insults. The Premier has dishonoured his office and dishonours Manitobans by acting in this manner. He brings this proud institution into disrepute. I make this motion at the earliest opportunity, having consulted with Hansard and reviewed the authorities. The comments of the Premier amounts to an obstruction, interference, or intimidation of a sitting MLA. It is a form of bullying. The purpose of a matter of privilege is to maintain the respect and credibility of this chamber, to uphold its authority, and to enforce the enjoyment of privilege by all of its members. No member, especially the Premier, can insult, demean, or question the integrity of another member. To allow that would diminish this chamber and the important work we do here. These comments would not be allowed in a respectful workplace, nor are they allowed here. I moved, seconded by the member for Interlake Gimli, that the matter be referred to a standing committee of this House.
Before recognizing any other members to speak, I would caution all members to make sure they keep comments relevant to the matter of privilege. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Miigwech, Honourable Speaker. It's unfortunate that the member once again is getting up in this chamber to highlight for Manitobans his obsession of the Premier. Quite honestly, Honourable Speaker, at this point it's getting quite sad and ridiculous that the member is so utterly obsessed with the Premier. Anything the Premier says, anything the Premier does, he's just obsessed with it. And so here we are. We've got a lot of business to do today. And once again, the member has shown why he was ejected from our caucus. It's not our fault, and it's not the Premier's fault that day in and day out he shows why he was ejected by our good caucus. I want to say this as well. The member, put on the record that the Premier, dishonored this space. He diminished the space.
I would ask all members who don't presently have the floor to remain quiet during matters of privilege, because I do need to hear everything that's being said. The Honourable Government House Leader.
I appreciate that, Honourable Speaker. So once again, the member is putting words on the record like that the Premier has dishonoured this space, he's diminished the chamber, it's a form of bullying, and not abusing the right that we have as legislators. I want to remind the member and everybody in this chamber that the member has twice now, or maybe even more than that, abused his right in this chamber when he missed his spot in rotation to respond to throne speech or budget, I can't remember what it was, and when he knew that our colleague Nello, who was dying, who he knew was dying, and he knew that our beloved colleague was watching the procedures, chose to get up in the chamber and not allow the Premier to give what were his final honoring remarks to Nello. He knew that, and yet he strategically wasted everybody's time in this chamber talking about whatever that nobody in the history of Manitoba is actually going to remember what he said in those 30 minutes. But you know who remembers those 30 minutes? Every single member on this side of the House, and more importantly, Nello's family. So if the member opposite wants to get up and talk about dishonoring and diminishing this space, he should look in the mirror.
Yeah.
No further members wishing to speak, then I will advise members that I will take this under advisement. Routine proceedings. Introduction of bills. The Honourable Government House Leader. The Honourable Minister of Families.
Miigwech, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister for Health, that Bill number 36, the Child and Family Services Amendment Act, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Family, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care, that Bill number 36, the Child and Family Services Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Family.
The amendments in Bill 36 widen the range of young people who can access supports in the CFS system, ensuring young adults transitioning into independence are not left behind. Bill 36 also creates a practical, collaborative process for Indigenous service providers to request the termination of provincial supervision or guardianship orders, eliminating unnecessary court delays and removing barriers to Indigenous jurisdiction. The legislation continues to reinforce our government's commitment to working to nation with Indigenous governments, broadening how Indigenous law is recognized within provincial child welfare frameworks. This is a key component in advancing my priority as Minister of Families to return the care of children and youth to their families and communities. I'm proud to bring forward Bill 36 for the House's consideration.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed, and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Families, that Bill number 40, the Elections Amendment Act, be now read for the first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Justice, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Families, that Bill number 40, the Elections Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm pleased to introduce Bill 40, the Elections Amendment Act, to the Legislature. Bill 40 amends the Elections Act to require a candidate to disclose whether they have contravened the Conflict of Interest Members and Ministers Act in cases where the Ethics Commissioner imposed a fine, suspension, or vacating of a member's seat. This bill enhances transparency to the public around past ethics violations by current and former MLAs if they choose to run again for office, and brings Manitoba to the forefront in Canada in accountability for elected officials. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister for Transportation and Infrastructure, that Bill number 42, the Motor Vehicle Statutes Amendment Act, be now read a first time.
And moved by the Honourable Minister of Justice, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, that Bill number 42, the Motor Vehicle Statutes Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. This bill makes several improvements to MPI products and services. First, the bill expands counseling benefits from MPI to those who have suffered serious injury in an accident or to a person who even witnesses a highly traumatic accident. Second, the bill will make MPI the sole regulator of driver training here in this province. Third, the bill modernizes the definition of antique vehicle from the Driver and Vehicles Act and allows it to be set in regulation instead. And fourthly, the bill expands the permitted personal use of farm-plated trucks to better reflect how farm pickup trucks are used by modern farm families. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Families, that Bill number 44, the Minor Amendments and Corrections Act 2026, be now read a first time.
And moved by the Honourable Minister of Justice, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Families, that Bill number 44, the Minor Amendments and Corrections Act 2026, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. My pleasure to rise today to introduce 2026's version of the Minor Amendments and Corrections Act. This annual omnibus bill corrects drafting, typographical, and numbering errors. Amendments are made to the French version of various acts to update language and terminology to ensure compatibility between English and French versions. Other minor amendments are also made to various acts to provide clarity and consistency in Manitoba's statute book. I look forward to providing more detailed information on this bill at second reading. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Advanced Education, that Bill number 13, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training, that Bill number 13, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery.
Honourable Speaker, I'm pleased to introduce Bill 13, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act. Our government is taking a historic action with the largest expansion to rent control in decades. Bill 13 will require mandatory review of rent regulation every 5 years. This will also remove old orders against tenants, require landlords to file more information about their rental units, strengthen notice requirement for showing occupancy units, and expand the scope of administrative penalties. These amendments will work together with upcoming regulation changes to expand rent control and limit above guideline rent increase as part of our work to make life more affordable for Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by Minister of Environment and Climate Change, that Bill number 48, the Real Property Amendment Act and Planning Amendment Act be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change, that Bill number 48, the Real Property Amendment and Planning Amendment Act, land conveyed for public purposes, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery.
Honorable Speaker, I'm pleased to introduce Bill number 48, the Real Property Amendment and Planning Amendment Act. This bill will allow statutory easement on title when public reserve land is dedicated or conveyed to continue on title. The bill also gives authority to municipality and the Crown to grant new statutory easement after the land has become public reserve land. This will give notice to the public of easement area and the nature of the buried utilities and will facilitate servicing of lands adjacent to the public reserve land. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Health, that Bill number 48, the Business Practice Amendment Act, be now read a first time.
The Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery.
Honorable Speaker, I move, seconded by the Minister of Health, that Bill number 49, the Business Practice Amendment Act, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care, that Bill number 49, the Business Practices Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm very pleased to introduce Bill number 49, the Business Practice Amendment Act. Our government is taking action on rising food prices. This will make it unfair business practice to use consumers' personal data to charge them more for any good or services. This will apply to all online platforms as well as any electronic self-labeling and in brick-and-mortar stores. This will make Manitoba the first in Canada to go after these unfair practices. We are working hard to make life more affordable for all Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, that Bill number 20, the Manitoba Hydro Amendment Act, Loi modifiant la loi sur l'hydro-Manitoba, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Finance, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change, that Bill number 20, the Manitoba Hydro Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you. This bill gives Manitoba Hydro the ability, when approved by government, to curtail power to crypto mining operations during periods of high demand. Crypto mining remains a low-value driver to the Manitoba economy, and new operations are already ineligible under our regulations. By giving Hydro this tool, we help protect energy reliability for Manitobans, especially during our winter peaks. This amendment ensures our grid remains reliable, stable, dependable, and focused on serving the long-term needs of Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation, that Bill number 39, the Manitoba Hydro Amendment and Tax Administration and Miscellaneous Taxes Amendment Act, loi modifiant la loi sur l'Hydro-Manitoba et la loi sur l'administration des impôts et des taxes et divers impôts et taxes, be now read a first time.
Moved by the Honourable Minister of Finance, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation, that Bill number 39, the Manitoba Hydro Amendment and Tax Administration and Miscellaneous Taxes Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. These amendments create a new levy on large-scale data centers, cryptocurrency, or other large power supply projects. They ensure that as these industries expand, they contribute their fair share to the cost of maintaining and expanding Manitoba's clean energy grid. This is a balanced, forward-looking measure that supports system planning and protects Manitoba Hydro ratepayers. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Okay, thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation, that Bill number 46, the Securities Amendment Act, loi modifiant la loi sur les valeurs mobilières, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Finance, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation, that Bill number 46, the Securities Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you again, Honourable Speaker. Our capital markets have changed, and these amendments ensure the rules keep pace. Bill 46 updates Manitoba's securities laws so regulators can better protect investors and hold bad actors to account, particularly in today's digital marketplace. By closing long-standing gaps and aligning with other provinces, these amendments strengthen oversight, restore confidence, and ensure Manitoba's capital markets work for everyday investors. Honourable Speaker, I'm very pleased to present this bill for the House's consideration.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Honourable Speaker, I move, seconded by the Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation, that Bill 37, the Environmental Statutes Amendment Act, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation, that Bill number 37, the Environmental Statutes Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Honourable Speaker, I'm pleased to rise in the House to introduce this bill, legislation that strengthens Manitoba's environmental governance and modernizes three important environmental statutes: the Environment Act, the Dangerous Goods Handling and Transportation Act, and the Waste Reduction and Prevention Act. The bill improves transparency, enhances enforcement tools, and ensures that the cost of environmental protection are borne by those who create the risk. The bill expands the Environment Act's public registry, giving Manitobans access to information that has long been difficult to obtain. The bill further modernizes our waste management framework by updating how the Waste Reduction and Recycling Support Levy is determined under the WRAP Act. These changes align Manitoba with best practices across Canada and with the commitment from our government to protect Manitoba's environment for generations to come. Honourable Speaker, I'm pleased to introduce Bill 37 for the consideration of the House. Thank you.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Housing, Addictions and Homelessness, that Bill number 50, the Pharmaceutical Amendment, Regulated Health Professions Amendment and Public Health Amendment Act, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Housing, Addiction and Homelessness, that Bill number 50, the Pharmaceutical Amendment, Regulated Health Professions Amendment, and Public Health Amendment Act be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm pleased to introduce Bill 50, the Pharmaceutical Amendment, Regulated Health Professions Amendment, and Public Health Amendment Act. This bill, which includes amendments to the Pharmaceutical Act, the Regulated Health Professions Act, and the Public Health Act, will allow pharmacists to issue therapeutic substitutions without the authorization of the original prescriber to align Manitoba more closely with other jurisdictions, allow 2 or more colleges of regulated health professions to amalgamate if it is in the interest of the colleges and the public interest, and will enable individuals held pursuant to a detention order under the Public Health Act to apply to have that order altered or varied. It will also allow medical officers to make similar requests, as well as allow for requests to extend the duration of the detention order to be heard by a provincial court judge rather than a judge of the Court of the King's Bench. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Families, that Bill number 38, the Public Schools Amendment and Manitoba School Boards Association Amendment Act, loi modifiant la loi sur les écoles publiques et la loi sur l'association des commissions scolaires du Manitoba, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Families, that Bill number 38, the Public Schools Amendment and Manitoba School Boards Association Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I am pleased to introduce Bill 38, the Public Schools and Manitoba School Boards Association Amendment Act. This bill broadens the definition of bullying in the PSA to include harm to individuals, groups, and the wider school community, and to include bullying through new technologies such as artificial intelligence. It also adds the requirement for school boards to hire a superintendent, and that superintendents must hold a valid teaching certificate. Finally, this bill allows Indigenous educational organizations, such as the Manitoba First Nations Resource Education Centre, to become a full member of the Manitoba School Boards Association, which is yet another way our government is working towards creating one Manitoba. This bill is an example of our government taking proactive steps to protect students and working with our sector partners on our shared priorities. Thank you very much. Merci, miigwech.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Advanced Education and Training, that Bill number 41, the Promoting Inclusion in Amateur Sport Act, loi sur la promotion de l'inclusion dans le sport amateur, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training, that Bill number 41, the Promoting Inclusion in Amateur Sport Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I am pleased to introduce Bill 41, the Promoting Inclusion in Amateur Sport Act. This bill requires sports organizations to develop and implement a policy on inclusion, to complete training on inclusion, and to complete an assessment of the demographic composition of their membership, with aims to identify programs and initiatives that will enhance inclusion in their sport. This bill furthers our government's commitment to a safe and equitable sport system where every child knows they have the right to play. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
I move, seconded by the Minister of Advanced Education and Training, that Bill number 47, the Apprenticeship and Certification Amendment Act, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training, that Bill number 47, the Apprenticeship and Certification Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm pleased to introduce Bill number 47, which amends the Apprenticeship and Certification Act. These amendments are essential to strengthening Manitoba's skilled trade workforce, support labor mobility across Canada, and improve transparency and confidence in our apprenticeship and certification system. The proposed amendments provide the authority to create an online registry and credential verification for those certified by Manitoba in a designated trade or occupation. Additionally, the amendments will update regulation-making, information sharing, and privacy requirements. By implementing this registry, Manitoba will continue to lead Canada in jurisdictions and deliver on a national target set by the Forum of Labour Market Ministers to implement digital verification of trade credentials by June 2026. This verification tool will help Manitobans easily confirm qualifications of certified journey persons, while also supporting the recruitment and integration of new skilled tradespeople into Manitoba's workforce to help drive economic growth. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Natural Resources and Indigenous Futures, that Bill number 45, the Yellow Quill University College Act and amendments to the Advanced Education Administration Act, Loi sur le Yellow Quill University College et modification de la Loi sur l'administration de l'enseignement postsecondaire, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Natural Resources and Indigenous Futures, that Bill number 45, the Yellow Quill University College Act and amendments to the Advanced Education Administration Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training.
Honourable Speaker, I am so pleased to introduce Bill 45, the Yellow Quill University College Act and amendments to the Advanced Education Administration Act. This is a new bill to introduce the Yellow Quill University College Act to the Legislative Assembly. The intent is to propose new legislation to formally recognize Yellow Quill University College as a Manitoba post-secondary institution. Honourable Speaker, I want to sincerely thank Yellow Quill University College for their patience with the Manitoba government and Manitoba Legislative Legal Services for embarking on a first-of-its-kind legislation co-development process. This is a true partnership, which we are incredibly proud of. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Justice, that Bill number 43, the Highway Traffic Amendment and Drivers and Vehicle Amendment Act, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the Honourable Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Justice, that Bill number 43, the Highway Traffic Amendment and Drivers and Vehicles Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I am pleased to introduce Bill 43, the Highway Traffic Amendment and Drivers and Vehicles Amendment Act. The bill amends the Highway Traffic Act and the Drivers and Vehicles Act to introduce two new vehicle classifications for personal electric vehicles, such as e-scooters and three-wheeled vehicles, along with rules for their use on the roads. Additional amendments will restrict the level of automated driver assistance features that may be used on Manitoba roadways and will require overweight and over-dimensional vehicles and trailers operating under special permits to be registered and plated. I look forward to providing many more details on this bill as it progresses through all stages of reading. Thank you.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The honourable member for Fort Garry.
I move, second by the member for Tyndall Park, that Bill 204, the Timely Construction of Residential Housing Act, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the honourable member for Fort Garry, seconded by the honourable member for Tyndall Park, that Bill number 204, the Timely Construction of Residential Housing Act, be now read a first time. The honourable member for Fort Garry.
I'm pleased to introduce the Timely Construction of Residential Housing Act, a bill that will encourage residential housing projects to be completed in a timely manner. Across Manitoba, housing affordability has become a growing concern, particularly for young families and first-time homebuyers trying to enter the housing market. At the same time, many approved housing developments sit stalled for years after building permits have been issued. In my own constituency of Fort Garry, 2 major residential developments have remained unfinished, one of them for more than 12 years. This bill would give municipalities the ability to revoke a building permit if developers fail to begin construction, suspend projects for extended periods, or fail to complete housing within a reasonable time frame. Housing permits should lead to housing being built. This legislation would create an incentive for projects to move forward so that Manitobans can see homes constructed, communities grow, and more families gain access to housing.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. The honourable member for Fort Garry.
I move, second by the MLA for Tyndall Park, that Bill 205, the Milk Prices Review Amendment Act, be now read a first time.
Been moved by the honourable member for Fort Garry, seconded by the honourable member for Tyndall Park, that Bill number 205, the Milk Prices Review Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The honourable member for Fort Garry.
I'm pleased to introduce the Milk Prices Review Amendment Act, a bill that strengthens transparency and consumer protection in Manitoba milk pricing system.
Order.
Milk is a staple in nearly every Manitoba household, but right now it is difficult for consumers to know what the official price of milk is supposed to be or whether they are paying a fair price at the checkout. This bill restores transparency by requiring the Manitoba Farm Products Marketing Council to clearly publish milk pricing orders and present them in language that's easy for consumers to understand. Manitobans should be able to see the price of a basic staple and know whether they're being charged fairly. This legislation would ensure the milk pricing information is publicly available, clearly communicated, and accessible to everyone. When it comes to essential groceries, transparency is one of the simplest and most effective forms of consumer protection.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. No further introduction of bills. Committee reports. Tabling of reports. Ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Families.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I rise today to mark Human Trafficking Awareness Day. Human trafficking and sexual exploitation are abominable crimes occurring here in Manitoba, across Canada, and across the globe. These deplorable, disgusting crimes are overwhelmingly perpetrated by men and their associates who form networks that sexually prey on the most vulnerable, predominantly women and girls. Black and Indigenous women and girls face the highest risk. The men who profit from and take pleasure in violating women and girls come from every socioeconomic and cultural background. This really means men can no longer hide behind the excuse of, "It's not me." Men must take responsibility for confronting the violence within their own ranks. Ending this crisis requires men speaking openly about why so many men commit acts of violence, and challenging their culture of domination and entitlement that fuels it. Human trafficking also exposes the complicity of privilege. The scandals surrounding Jeffrey Epstein and our unfortunately own Peter Nygard are stark reminders of how deeply embedded these networks can be. Powerful men and those around them facilitated and enabled horrible exploitation across the globe. In Manitoba, we recognize Human Trafficking Awareness Day alongside Stop Child Sexual Exploitation Awareness Week, reflecting the clear and devastating connection between these crimes. Since 2014, reports of online child sexual exploitation in Canada have increased by more than 347%. We know women will always stand up to raise awareness and fight against this and surround survivors with protection, healing, recognition, and love. But my question is really to men, or men that call themselves allies, whether or not it's men in this chamber, or in this city, or men across Manitoba, or across Canada, or men across the globe. What are you going to do about this? How are you going to work to end male violence and the sexual exploitation and human trafficking of the most vulnerable? Today, I also remember Tracia Owen, whose story inspired Manitoba's Tracia's Trust strategy. Our government is revitalizing this strategy to respond to the evolving tactics of traffickers, pedophiles, and abusers, and to work with community more closely. I dedicate this statement to survivors whose courage drives us forward. Our government continues to stand with survivors and remains steadfast in protecting Manitobans, especially our youth, from these crimes. Miigwech.
The honourable member for Agassiz.
Honourable Speaker, today I rise to recognize Human Trafficking Awareness Day and to reaffirm our commitment to protecting the most vulnerable in our communities. Human trafficking is a grave and disturbing crime. It is the exploitation of another human being for profit through force, manipulation, or coercion. While many believe this is a problem that happens somewhere else, the harsh reality is this happens here in Canada, right here in our home province of Manitoba. Nationally, 93% of identified trafficking victims are women and girls, and approximately 1/4 are under the age of 18. These are not just statistics. These are daughters, sisters, friends, and members of our communities whose trust has been betrayed and whose freedom has been stolen. As PCs, we believe that public safety is a core responsibility of government. Protecting women, children, vulnerable Manitobans must always be a priority. Human Trafficking Awareness Day is about more than recognition. It is about prevention, enforcement, and meaningful support for survivors. Traffickers are often not strangers. 34% of police-reported human trafficking victims and accused persons were trafficked by an intimate partner. They frequently build calculated relationships with their victims, gaining trust before exploiting it. That is why awareness and education are very critical. Parents, teachers, community leaders, and young people themselves must understand the warning signs so exploitation can be stopped before it takes hold. There are steps every Manitoban can take. Report suspicious activity to law enforcement, learn the signs of exploitation, support organizations working on the front lines. By staying informed and vigilant, we strengthen our collective ability to prevent this crime. Human trafficking has no place in our province. By standing united through strong laws, effective enforcement, and compassionate support, we can protect vulnerable Manitobans and ensure that those who commit these crimes are held accountable. Together we can build safer communities and send a clear message. Exploitation will not be tolerated here in Manitoba. And I do want to give a shout out to the Joy Smith Foundation and acknowledge the work that that organization does to bring awareness and to raise funds to support the awareness and the protection of these young people and those that are trafficked. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Member statements. The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, this year marks a meaningful milestone for a community organization that has helped strengthen Manitoba's cultural fabric for decades. The 40th anniversary of the Umana Igbo Cultural Association of Manitoba. The story of Umana began simply when 5 Igbos living in Winnipeg gathered in a Transcona home for a social visit. That evening, they began discussing the idea of creating a formal association where Igbo families in Manitoba could remain connected to their culture, language, and traditions. What began as rotating meetings in one another's homes that I remember distinctly as a child being in, Honourable Speaker, soon grew into something enduring. The Umana Association was eventually registered and formally incorporated in 1990, and today the vision continues to flourish. Igbo peoples whose roots trace back to southeastern Nigeria and whose global population numbers in the tens of millions have made significant contributions to life here in Manitoba. Across public service, education, arts, and community leadership, Igbo Manitobans continue to shape and strengthen our great province. Through cultural performances such as the vibrant Igbo masquerade, dance groups, and entrepreneurship, audiences across Manitoba have been able to experience the depth and the beauty and the strength of Igbo traditions. And the Umana Association has helped shape important Igbo history with the wider public through contributions to the Canadian Museum for Human Rights exhibition reflecting on the Nigeria-Biafra Civil War. For more than 2 decades, Umana has also been bringing together scholars, leaders, and community members to explore themes of belonging, understanding, and cultural exchange through the Igbo Educational Lecture Series hosted in partnership with the University of Winnipeg Global College. We have Dr. Chibo, president of the Umana Igbo Cultural Association, and members from Umana joining us here in the gallery, including community matriarchs, chiefs, and elders who made it possible for me to be standing in this chamber delivering this statement. I'd ask all members to join me, stand in this house and recognize the amazing leaders of Umana. 40 years. Let's all show them our congratulations and thanks for strengthening our province, fostering understanding, and making Manitoba a beautiful place to call home.
Yeah.
Order, please. Order, please. I'd remind visitors. Order, please. I would remind visitors that they are not allowed to participate in what's going on, so I'd ask them to not do that anymore. The Honourable Member for Spruce Woods.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It is truly an honour to speak today about the incredible impact of the Ronald McDonald House of Manitoba. At its heart, this organization is about something that is very simple but profoundly important. It's about keeping families together during some of the most difficult moments of their lives. When a child becomes seriously ill or injured and must travel to Winnipeg for treatment, families are often faced with overly overwhelming stress, emotional, logistical, and financial. The Ronald McDonald House in Manitoba provides a home away from home, allowing families to stay close to the child while they receive the care at the Children's Hospital. Located just steps from the Health Science Centre, the house can support up to 40 families at a time, offering comfortable rooms, meals, and everyday supports that make an incredibly difficult situation just a little easier. But the Ronald McDonald offers more than just a place to stay. It offers compassion, community, and the reassurance that families are not facing these challenges alone. By removing the barriers such as travel and accommodation costs, the organization helps families focus on what truly matters, the health and well-being of their children. The work of the Ronald McDonald House is made possible by dedicated staff, volunteers, generous supporters across our province who believe deeply in caring for one another. Their commitment strengthens families and strengthens our communities. Last night at the gala, the fundraiser for the home, they had, which I've been to for many years, it was a great evening, and the Advocate family, Derek and Katie Kirkwood, Mac and Evie, are from Brandon. And some here might know Katie Lee. She worked here in the Ledge for the MLA, Leanne Rowett. Evie was diagnosed with leukemia, and the good news is Evie will be ringing the chemo bell in April. So I'd like my fellow colleagues to stand up and welcome Wendy Gallagher, the CEO of Manitoba House, and her leadership team, Freddie Ty, Eden Ramsey, Cam McGregor, and joining us in the gallery. Your work truly makes a difference.
The Honourable Minister of Labour and Immigration.
Honourable Speaker, I have the humble privilege of welcoming Somali elders and youth from the Bilal Community and Family Resource Centre. Earlier this winter, the world watched as President Donald Trump began his reverse migration policy targeting refugees and foreign nationals. ICE raids ensued, temporary protected status revoked, fear, violence rocked communities. And even with the president's long history of deriding minorities, it was still a shocking blow in the way that he repeatedly singled out one nationality in particular, Somalis. Abiding by the rules of this House, I'm unable to quote completely the degrading language used, but he said, "We're at a tipping point. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country." Here in Canada, in response to rising anti-immigrant sentiment, the federal government is also drastically reducing the amount of newcomers here. Deep cuts to language training and settlement programs have followed. The message is received even without the xenophobic tirades. Somali elders have raised concerns about youth who have internalized sustained racist, dehumanizing language and continue to experience racial and religious discrimination at school. They raise concerns about job discrimination, underemployment, the need for more basic job training and better accreditation pathways. Somali elders want Manitobans to know that they are a generous and resilient people that do their part to contribute to Manitoba. At Bilal, I met laborers, business owners, social workers, truck drivers, city workers, doctors, childcare workers, gig workers, who are all doing their part to contribute to Manitoba. Under the exceptional leadership of our Premier, our government's message has been clear. We are one Manitoba.
Order, please. I just remind members that when they're doing a member statement, if they're a minister, they're not allowed to comment on the government. The Honourable Minister of Labour and Immigration.
My message has been clear. We are one Manitoba, we are one people, and we have one shared destiny. We are all newcomers who have been graciously welcomed by the Indigenous peoples of this land. We live in tough prairie towns, and together we are thriving to make our communities safe places with good-paying jobs, a place where we uphold Canadian values of respect and dignity for all. Today I'm proud to stand with the Somali...
Time has expired. Is there leave for the Minister to conclude her statement? The Honourable Minister of Labour and Immigration.
Today I'm proud to stand with the Somali community in Manitoba to say that you are a treasure, that you are a valuable part of our mosaic, and that Manitoba is a richer place because you have made it home. I ask all members to acknowledge our guests, Muhadeen Sheikh Omar, Kadar Ahmed, Antene Abraha, Janik Thacker, Khadija Maiga, Shivani Mohan, Aisha Ali, Saad Chaudhary, Magali Sibumana. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The honourable member for Selkirk.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The Growing Years Family Resource Centre originally started as part of the Selkirk Friendship Centre. Growing Years has been a trusted resource in the community for 27 years, supporting families who are prenatal and those with children who are up to 6 years old. All of their resources, services, and programs are free, and they offer many different programs, most on a drop-in basis, so families can come when it works for them. They have a prenatal program, postnatal mental health program, specific programs for both infants and toddlers, a drop-in play group where families get to come and talk to pediatric physiotherapists, a group specifically for those children who are neurodiverse, and a Circle of Security parenting program. All of the programs include an educational component where they have presentations to parents and caregivers on topics related to their children's health and development. They work with preschool children in the community, providing them with health and therapy services that provide early intervention for many different challenges before they get into the school system, which gives them the best chance at success when they get there. Last year, they served 257 parents and guardians, as well as 348 children. Their goal is to build lasting, trusting relationships. Most people don't care how much they know until they know how much they care. It's through these relationships that they build lasting trust. Growing Years are often the bridge to other support programs and services in the community. Honourable Speaker, I would like to ask all of my colleagues to thank the wonderful people of Growing Years for the hard work that they have done and continue to do.
Prior to recognizing the next member to speak, we have some guests seated in the public gallery from Silverwood School. We have 7 grade 9 students under the direction of Blaine Stobweeb. This group is located in the constituency of the Honourable Member for Midland. We welcome you here today. The Honourable Member for Kirkfield Park.
Honourable Speaker, today I rise to recognize the outstanding arts programs and teachers at Westwood Collegiate, a longtime leader in performing arts education and a true point of pride for the Westwood community. Band teacher Daryl Crisp is new to Westwood, but has taught in the St. James Assiniboia School Division for 24 years. In just a short time, she's made her mark. The senior jazz band earned a trophy at the 2026 Manitoba Band Association Jazz Festival, and 3 ensembles were invited to the National Music Festival. Choir director Heather Neufeld has taught at Westwood for 6 years. A highlight for her was when the concert choir performed with singer-songwriter J.P. Ho at Union Station during Winnipeg's 150 celebration. The choir is now preparing to perform at the Whistler Cantadoo Festival. Drama teacher Kelly Lowen, now in his 7th year, takes great pride in his students' growth. His department staged the 2025 production of Puffs, featuring more than 20 performers and over 200 sound and lighting cues. Finally, dance teacher Brian Toms has inspired the students for 19 years, taking them to New York, Florida, Toronto, and Chicago to experience the arts firsthand. This past December, his senior musical theater ensemble wowed sold-out audiences with Sister Act, a show that I was very fortunate to attend. It was fantastic. The talent and the energy were incredible. Thanks to Mrs. Crisp, Ms. Neufeld, Mr. Lowen, Mr. Toms, and the entire Westwood staff and the students who continue to thrive and express themselves artistically and at the highest level. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Oral questions. The Honourable Member for Midland.
Honourable Speaker, on this side of the House, we focus on Manitoba families, enabling their success and trusting their vision for the future of our province. This is why this morning I introduced a motion to increase the basic personal exemption to $30,000. This means someone making $30,000 would pay no provincial income tax. This means families could save up to $3,000 a year. This means more families can keep more of their hard-earned income. Will the Premier join us in a real affordability measure today and pass this resolution?
Time has expired. The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, we're always going to be there to help you with the cost of living. That's right. That's why the first thing we did when we came in office was we cut the gas tax. That's right. We also cut taxes by raising the basic personal exemption in our first year in office. That's right. We've been there cutting the price of energy, cutting the price of groceries, and there'll be more good news when we bring our budget on March 24th. Now, the PCs, on the other hand, what do they cut? They cut emergency rooms. Yep. They cut hospitals. Yep. They cut nurses. Yep. Anytime they announce a cut, it means that you're going to get worse health care. So just ask them at the doorstep, which emergency room are you going to close this time? Yep. We'll work together with you when it comes to our tax measures, like raising the basic personal exemption. When it comes to the members opposite, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Yay!
The Honourable Member for Midland on a supplementary question.
This Premier promised indexation on income taxes. He promised he would increase the basic personal amount, but what did he do? He broke both of those promises. We know that Manitobans are struggling, and they are struggling deeply. A single mother earning just $40,000 would keep an extra $130 a month or $1,500 a year under our plan. This is money for rent, food, and just a little extra to go to the movies with their children. Why is this Premier refusing Manitobans from keeping their hard-earned money?
Yeah. The Honourable First Minister.
We've been there for all of Manitoba. For the single mother that they talked about when we cut the gas tax, when we raised the basic personal exemption, when we made the tax credit system in Manitoba more fair and just. And you know what we did as part of our One Manitoba approach? We said to those who are well off, those who've been given so much in our society, why don't you contribute your fair share along the way? What do the PCs announce today? Tax cuts for millionaires. Right. Back up to the same old tricks. Crazy. Shame on them. Let's help real Manitobans with real assistance on the cost of living. That's what you'll see on March 24th. Not more handouts for millionaires like the member for Fort White. That's right.
The Honourable Member for Midland on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, perhaps the Premier should get his figures correct. A $30,000 basic personal exemption would mean individuals earning just $30,000 would pay no provincial income tax. A single mom could keep up to $1,500 a year. A dual income family can keep up to $3,000 a year. This is not a Premier who wants people to have. This is a Premier who punishes hard-working Manitobans. On our side of the House, we want to reward those Manitobans. Why does this Premier expect so little from himself, his Minister of Finance, and his entire government caucus?
The Honourable First Minister.
You know, everybody that the member talks about, we're there to help you. That's right. We were there to help the single mom. We were there to help the family of three when we cut the gas tax, when we tackled grocery prices, when we made tax credits fairer in the province of Manitoba. But again, what did the members opposite do when they were sitting around the cabinet table? Right. What did the member for Fort White do when he was at the cabinet table and that single mom was facing 8% inflation? That's right. Absolutely nothing. That's right. They didn't do a single thing in office except mail out checks to millionaires. We said, you know what? Millionaires have been given so much by our society. Why don't you join us in investing in the future? What did the member for Midland say? That's the complete opposite direction that we should be going. Well, why don't we have a vote in Manitoba and see who thinks millionaires should pay their fair share so that the rest of us can get some help with the cost of living?
The Honourable member for Midland on a new question.
90 cents is what Manitobans save every time they fill up under this Premier's plan. That does not even buy a can of soup with the cost of living crisis that Manitobans are facing today. Gone are the days where Manitoba could compete with other provinces. This Premier is happy that Manitoba's economy is stagnant. He's happy that other provinces are outperforming Manitoba. We say no more. We want to stand with Manitoba families.
Yep.
We want to give them their hard-earned dollars back so they can make the decisions of how they spend their own money for their families. Why does this Premier refuse to allow Manitobans to keep their own dollars?
The Honourable First Minister.
Coming into office, our team cut the gas tax. Just put more money in your pocket every time you go to the pump. That was $350 million put back into the pockets of the people of Manitoba. We raised the basic personal exemption. We cut income taxes. We cut corporate taxes. We even cut the payroll tax. They cut health care. They cut emergency rooms. They cut the number of nurses working in the province. And they don't want you to save money when you go to the grocery store. In fact, their recent leader, the member for Fort White, said, and I quote, on February 28th of this year, "We don't want to give you 2-cent savings on milk for 1 liter." End quote. Why not? Why not help people out at the grocery store? I guess that's why he doesn't do the lead and question period anymore.
The Honourable Member for Midland on a supplementary question.
Does the Premier have an issue with the fact that this PC team wants to save a family?
Order, please. The front bench of the government needs to come to order. The Honourable Member for Midland.
Does this Premier have an issue with the fact that our PC team wants to save struggling Manitobans up to $3,000 a year? Or does this Premier have an issue with the fact that our Leader of the Opposition actually encourages females to ask questions? Increasing the basic personal amount to $30,000 will not only help struggling Manitobans, but it will also fuel our stagnant economy. Why does this Premier oppose such a virtuous cycle?
The Honourable First Minister.
What I oppose is the fact that rich people like Heather Stephenson will benefit the most from the tax policy being brought forward by the Progressive Conservatives. We stand for helping you and your family with real relief when you go to the gas station, when you go to the grocery store, and when you have to pay your mortgage or your rent payments. More good news coming on March 24th, Budget Day in Manitoba. But the members opposite always standing up for Heather Stephenson, not only trying to give her a big tax break here with this supposed announcement, but their leader in the media just yesterday, when pressed about Silica, because PC MLAs left their caucus this very week because of Silica, he said, and I quote, "As far as I'm concerned, the issue is resolved," end quote. Newsflash for the leader of the opposition, SIO is not resolved. This is a live issue. The drinking water of people in southeastern Manitoba depends on it, and your political future depends on addressing the issues it has raised in your caucus. Silica is a live issue.
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Midland on a final supplementary question.
Our PC team is standing up for that single mom who's going to a food bank because she cannot afford to put food on the table for her families. Our PC team is standing up for seniors who cannot afford medication or quality of life aids. We are standing up for the Manitobans that are within $200 of bankruptcy. That's what this basic personal exemption increase does. It stands up for those Manitobans who are deeply struggling. Why does this Premier want to refuse Manitobans their hard-earned dollars?
Order, please. The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care needs to come to order. Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, we are the party of people who had to earn it.
That's right.
We are the party of people who had to fight for what we have. And that's why we're here in government every single day fighting for you, the good people of Manitoba. We cut the gas tax. They did nothing when gas prices shot through the roof and inflation was at 8%. We're bringing competition to the grocery sector. In Steinbach right now, there's a grocery store that is keeping 4 other locations empty to raise prices on you. We're going to knock that down. We're taking steps each and every day. What have they done on that side of the House to help with the cost of living? Well, they gave the member for Fort White $500,000, and now they're back proposing a tax cut that will benefit millionaires the most in our society. We love millionaires, but they've been lucky. They should pay their fair share. And the rest of Manitobans, the middle class, the hardworking people who power the economy, you should finally get a break.
Time has expired. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Manitobans and everyone out there can hear the sheer hypocrisy by this Premier and that entire government. They have been heckling nonstop when our member from Midland, a strong female, stands up and asks the first question. What does the Minister of Families do?
Order.
Heckles and attacks. Minister of Health heckles and attacks because I, as a leader, am strong and capable enough to know that I support a strong woman to ask the first question. Unlike Premier, who goes low, I will empower and lift up everyone on this side of the House. Why is the Premier so opposed to a tax cut, the basic personal tax exemption being doubled and allowing families to save $3,000? The family that barely gets by, that makes $30,000 or $40,000 a year, will double their savings. Why is the Premier so opposed to making life actually affordable for Manitobans?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, I'm going to be Captain Obvious over here, in addition to my responsibility for health, and say that the Premier of Manitoba works so hard for all Manitobans, encourages representation, encourages people to aspire for their dreams, that we have the most representative and diverse caucus in Manitoba's history on this side of the House, working for all Manitobans, Honourable Speaker, making sure the voices of all Manitobans are heard, making sure the needs of all Manitobans are being addressed. This Premier has made sure that we're taking real action on affordability and making life more affordable for all those families, especially those who need it, after 8 years of a failed PC government that made life more expensive and didn't care about single moms or any moms, for that matter.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
I will agree with the Health Minister on one thing, is that Premier is full of hot air and empty announcements. For 2.5 years, this Premier has refused to deliver any results for families, making life less affordable in Manitoba, Honourable Speaker. It's time for results. Manitobans want actions. On this side of the House, the member from Midland has proposed a real resolution that will double the level of basic personal tax exemption, allowing families to keep $3,000 more in their pockets. Not 2 cents a litre like the Premier is heckling from over there. He thinks 2 cents a litre of milk makes a difference. We think $3,000 a year for a family makes a difference. Will the Premier stand up today and support the member from Midland's resolution today?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, I know that the Leader of the Opposition was gifted $500,000 by Heather Stephenson, the same person who just forgot about $31 million that she had in her back pocket. But on this side of the House, we're led by a Premier that understands that every single day Manitobans are making tough choices. And so when we freeze the hydro rates, when we cut the gas tax, when we freeze the cost of milk, when we take real actions that make life more affordable for Manitobans, it's really important that the Leader of the Opposition, who's probably still spending that $500,000, doesn't minimize that for Manitobans. That's real action, real results, more to come on March 24th.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
I can honestly say I'm disappointed in that response and the response by the Premier. I'm not surprised, but I'm actually disappointed that they wouldn't support this. This is a common sense resolution that would double the level of basic personal tax exemption, doubling how much money families can save. The Minister of Justice wants to heckle me, the Minister of Families, the Minister of Health, the entire front bench is heckling. They're not listening. They're not taking this serious. All attacks, all insults, all heckles and jokes. The Speaker can hear it. We can all hear it in here.
Order, please. Stop the clock. I've called the Minister of Families to order, and I'm calling her to order again, but I'm also cautioning all members on the government side that the heckling is getting out of hand. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, for acknowledging that the Minister of Families is completely outrageous today when she continues to heckle and insult me for empowering and encouraging strong member from Midland to stand up and bring this resolution forward. So I'll ask the Premier once again, why is the NDP government so against saving Manitobans $3,000 a year, Manitoban families who are struggling under grocery price inflation, under higher education property taxes? Will the Premier today support the member from Midland's resolution to double the basic personal tax exemption?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, I see here that the Leader of the Opposition is trying to position himself as someone who uplifts women. I find it really concerning, however, that he currently has allowed two people to bring their names forward to run for the PC party who are openly, publicly, and proudly anti-choice. People who have advocated for the rights of women to make choices about their own essential health care to be stripped away from them. The Leader of the Opposition is championing people who celebrated the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Honourable Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition doesn't care about single mothers, doesn't care about the rights of women, certainly doesn't care about how mothers in this province are going to afford to feed their families. On this side of the House, we respect Manitobans, we're making life more affordable, and of course, for women in every corner.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a new question.
To the Minister of Health, there's no pretending to empower women on this side of the House. I'm not the one with a criminal record for assaulting a woman, Honourable Speaker. A penny saved is a penny earned. Thousands of dollars that Manitoban families will save. I guess that hit a nerve with the Premier as he wants to heckle me while I talk about real savings for families. Doubling the basic personal tax exemption would allow families to save up to $3,000, Honourable Speaker. Instead of that, this Premier wants to heckle, he wants to attack, he wants to insult. He's not taking this seriously. It's not a serious Premier. Under this Premier, food inflation is the second highest in the country at 6.1%. Families are struggling to get by. And this common sense resolution will increase the amount of money families will save to $3,000. So I'll ask again, will the Premier stop heckling and support this resolution today?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition and members on that side of the House continue to show Manitobans that they have learned nothing. They haven't changed. They focused on sending checks to millionaires and billionaires, and their actions in this House show that they still only continue to care about the most well-off Manitobans. That is no surprise. The Leader of the Opposition very happily, during a COVID crisis, accepted $500,000 from Heather Stephenson. So, of course, he continues to look out for her best interests. We are focused on the best interests of Manitobans. We are focused on budget after soon-to-come budget, making life more affordable for Manitobans. We've done this the first time, the second time, the third time. The best finance minister in Canada is going to make sure that good work continues in our province.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, yes, we support businesses and we support a strong, growing economy. Right. Under this NDP government, the Premier and his failed finance minister have killed the economic horse that he so highly spoke about. Honourable Speaker, we realize that stronger businesses pay stronger wages. Those wages pay more taxes. That grows the economy. Under this NDP government, Manitoba has the worst economy in the entire country, Honourable Speaker. That is a complete failure of this NDP government. Stronger businesses, stronger jobs, stronger paychecks, and with a common sense resolution brought forward by the member from Midland, the Premier would stop heckling and just listen. Double the basic personal tax exemption, families will save up to $3,000. Will the Premier support that common sense resolution and make life more affordable for Manitobans today?
Hear, hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, I want to remind Manitobans that the Leader of the Opposition is the same person who thanked Donald Trump. Thanked Donald Trump for attacking our democracy, our sovereignty, for tariffs. The Leader of the Opposition continues to endorse and, quite frankly, champion Donald Trump's behaviors. He's allowing two people to run for his party who are openly anti-choice and anti-women in this province. The Leader of the Opposition continues to bring forward resolutions that would see middle-class working women in this province not do better. He wants to advance the needs of rich people like Heather Stephenson. The Leader of the Opposition and every PC member is out of touch, Honourable Speaker. We're going to focus on Manitobans. Maybe he should focus on getting his house in order.
Time has expired. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
I know it comes as a shock for the NDP caucus that, surprisingly, if they work hard, they will have success. That's what we've been raised with our entire life. The harder the work, the better opportunities, the more success you will have, Honourable Speaker. It comes as a shock to the NDP and their social thinking, socialist ideology that if you actually work hard, you will be provided more opportunities. We believe on this side of the House that families that work hard, families under this affordability crisis under this NDP government are working hard. They need help. On this side of the House, we believe that this common sense resolution to double the level of the basic personal tax exemption would do that. Let Manitobans keep more of their paychecks. Why is the Premier and the entire NDP government against hardworking Manitobans keeping more of their paychecks?
The Honourable First Minister.
I've got to correct the PC leader. There's a lot of poor people who work way harder than him and everyone else in this PC every single day of the year. And they need direct help, not help for millionaires like they're trying to do yet again. That's what they did last time they're in office. That's what they're trying to propose to people out there. We're helping you directly. Property tax help, help at the gas station, help at the grocery store, help making the cost of living easier. And yeah, we're going to ask the millionaires to contribute their fair share. They got a lot of help on the way to the top. They can contribute to help you get a little bit more help with the cost of living. We're on your side. They're on the side of the rich folks down the street at the Manitoba Club. You want to have a vote on this? Bring it on.
There we go.
The Honourable Member for Roblin.
Food inflation in Manitoba is worse than anywhere else in Canada. Today, $200 in groceries barely covers the bottom of your shopping cart. Food bank usage is at an all-time high.
Order.
Raising the basic personal exemption to $30,000 will lower taxes for thousands of Manitoba families and could make a real, tangible difference for parents struggling to feed their children. The member for Kildonan River East loves to heckle. Maybe she doesn't do her own grocery shopping. I do. Groceries are expensive. Why does the NDP oppose our resolution to raise the basic personal exemption?
Hear, hear, yes.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
The members opposite support reducing grocery prices. They should support the good work that's happening on this side of the House, Honourable Speaker. Raising the price of a 1 litre of milk, more competition in our communities, and the first of its kind provincially led study to determine how we can do more to reduce the cost of groceries for Manitobans. We know that they don't take that stuff seriously, but on this side of the House, we do. And we're doing that important work to determine a path forward on how we can do more to lower costs further on groceries for Manitobans. And of course, that builds on all of the other measures we brought in since we got into government, including our hydro rate freeze, our fuel tax cut, our personal income tax cuts. We are doing the work of lowering costs for Manitobans, and Manitobans can count on more of that in our upcoming budget on March 24th. Great job.
The Honourable Member for Roblin on a supplementary question.
The NDP government is forcing Manitoba families to make impossible choices. Not only are they failing to make life more affordable, they are actively making the problem worse by hiking income taxes, property taxes, and now hydro rates. Raising the basic personal exemption to $30,000 would leave Manitoba families with more money to give their children opportunities to participate in sports, music, or the arts. Why do the NDP continue to force families to make a choice between their kids or paying their bills?
Wow. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, we know that the PCs like to help out their friends, the millionaire class. On this side of the House, we like to work to ensure we support everyday Manitobans. That's right. It's the same with their approach on education and property taxes. What did they do? They brought in a measure that wrote checks for billionaires, checks to folks on Bay Street. Where on this side, we're sending more money to everyday Manitobans with our $1,500 education and property tax rebate, and of course, in this last tax season, went up to $1,600. Honourable Speaker, we know that Manitobans continue to face affordability challenges, and for years, they had a government that didn't take action. They had a government that didn't care about those challenges. They didn't take action on energy costs, on fuel. They actually worked to make those things more expensive. On almost every single measure.
Has expired. The honourable member for Roblin on a final supplementary question.
Raising a family in 2026 is more expensive than it has ever been. Families are struggling. The NDP government is actively making the problem worse by hiking income taxes, hiking property taxes, and hiking hydro rates. But raising the basic personal exemption is a real, tangible thing that this government could do to make life more affordable for Manitobans. More money for groceries, more money for your children's activities. Why is this NDP government refusing to lower taxes for thousands of Manitoba families?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Again, Honourable Speaker, on almost every single thing she identified there in her question, we are doing the work of lowering those costs, whether it's personal income taxes, whether it's taxes on businesses. We also, of course, have taken other important measures that we don't get the opportunity to speak too often about in this House, but I'll raise a couple here. Free birth control. Oh, yeah. A prenatal benefit. $10 a day child care all year round. That's the work this team is going to continue to do. More to come in our March 24th budget.
The Honourable Member for La-Vérendrye.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. All Manitobans agree that our economy needs a kickstart. But under this NDP government, we're doing the exact opposite. The NDP want to bring everybody down, and they call that equity. On this side of the House, we want to bring everybody up, because that's what we consider equity. They're taking more from families through higher taxes, cancelled indexation, and rising costs, leaving Manitobans with less money to spend in their local economy. So my question, Honourable Speaker, why is this government taking more money out of the budgets of Manitobans and leaving them without the tax relief that they deserve?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, the member couldn't be more wrong. We're building this province's economy, and we do it every day. $3.7 billion capital plan in our last budget, investments in Centerport, in Churchill, investing in trade-supporting infrastructure, a critical minerals plan, finally a plan on energy. For years, these guys come in here for years. What do? They failed to make a single additional megawatt so that our businesses and our homes could be powered. We are doing the work of moving the province ahead, and what's the result, Honourable Speaker? Over 30,000 net new jobs in Manitoba since we've taken government. And while we move this economy forward, an incredible plan to reduce costs for Manitobans when it comes to groceries, personal income taxes, the cost of fuel, the cost of hydro.
Has expired. The Honourable Member for La-Vérendrye on a supplementary question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Affordability is very simple. Every dollar that's left in a family's pocket is a dollar that they can spend at local businesses. That's on groceries, that's on their children, on needs for their households, and transportation. That spending supports jobs that keeps our economy moving. Under this government, we're seeing a 5.3% increase in government spending, while only a 1.1% increase in our GDP. So my question, Honourable Speaker, why is this government so determined to grow the government revenues, but not grow the Manitoba economy?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, the member that stands in this House and talks about wanting to see us make life more affordable, when our measure, as it relates to education and property taxes, brings 9 out of 10 people in his community are better off as a function of our measure. What does he say when he goes to the grocery store, when he goes to the hockey game or wherever he's going? What does he say to people in his community? 9 out of 10 are better off. He should get on board with our measure, get on board with the savings we're bringing to people in his community, and recognize that this team is doing the work of lowering costs for Manitobans. We're doing it every single day.
The Honourable Member for La-Vérendrye on a final supplementary question.
Well, Speaker, you know what I'm hearing from Manitobans? That they're sick and tired of the equity that this NDP government portrays, bringing every Manitoban down. If this government really cared about kickstarting...
Order! The government bench needs to come to order. Perhaps maybe the government bench didn't hear me. They need to come to order. The Honourable Member for La-Vérendrye.
Honourable Speaker, instead of the equity of every Manitoba being poor at an equal level, I think every Manitoban would prefer to kickstart our economy. And it starts by making life less expensive and start helping Manitobans keep more of the money that they've earned. My question, Honourable Speaker, why will this government not support real affordability measures like we've brought forward and put more money back into the pockets of Manitobans? Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Yet, Honourable Speaker, I invite the member opposite to come on board with this team and the good work we're doing to make life more affordable in Manitoba. There's so many great things we brought forward in our last 2 budgets. Of course, we talk about some of those measures in this House. I'm going to name a couple more for the member. We brought in, of course, our rebates on EVs, $4,000 rebate for EVs and plug-in hybrids, the $10 a day all year-round childcare, the prenatal benefit, the payroll tax cut, free park passes for a year. This is in addition to the real reductions in costs that we brought in on personal income taxes, on education property taxes, on the cost of energy. Literally every single cost that Manitobans face, we're reducing them.
Member's time has expired. Order. The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker, Manitoba continues to have the highest number of children in care in the country, roughly 5 times the national average, according to census data and reporting on the province's child welfare system in 2024. According to the province's own Department of Families 2024-2025 report, there are 9,172 children in care. These unacceptably high numbers, according to advocates, have only continued to rise despite recent changes and efforts. Can the minister please explain why Manitoba still has the highest number of children in care?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
Miigwech, Honourable Speaker, and miigwech to the member for Tyndall Park for that important question. You know, it's unfortunate that during the PC's time in government, they cut services and funding to child welfare and to the organizations that support children and families that are in care. Since we formed government, I'm proud to say that we've put $40 million into child welfare to attempt to fix the mess that members opposite made. It really is indicative of the lack of concern and compassion and care that members have for the most vulnerable, be it mothers or single mothers, including children in care. And I'll remind folks in this chamber that it was members opposite that actually wanted to legislate the rights of Indigenous children away, and it's us
Member's
that
time has expired. The honourable member for Tyndall Park on a supplementary question.
Honorable Speaker, Manitoba's child welfare system continues to place thousands of children in foster homes and other temporary arrangements. According to the province's own Department of Families, many children in care experience multiple placement changes during their time in the system. These moves can often disrupt education, undermine stability, and negatively impact mental health and long-term development. With the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs calling for deeper systemic changes focused on prevention and family reunification, can the minister share what she is currently doing to better provide stability and predictable housing?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
Miigwech for that question. And again, once again, an important question, a question that wasn't considered in the 7.5 years of that failed callous government. What I can share is that, as folks know, because I've said it many, many times in this chamber, we proclaimed kinship and customary care agreements. What that is agreements with biofamilies, or, agencies, and caregivers to ensure that children are not formally apprehended into the system. We are actually reducing numbers of children that are coming formally into the system by apprehension, and supporting families to be able to take on and care for children so that they remain in community, they remain in family, and they
Member's time
remain
has expired. The honourable member for Tyndall Park on a final supplementary question.
Honorable Speaker, the Manitoba Foster Parents Association and First Nations leadership continue to advocate for overworked CFS staff and consistent monthly visits. We have seen the impact and need for this through recent situations, resulting in tragedies and criminal charges. What is the government doing to ensure that children placed in care are adequately monitored by CFS authorities?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
Since I came on to the role of minister responsible for child welfare, I can assure the House that I have had so many meetings with agencies, authorities, rights holders, grand chiefs of all of the authorities, political organizations, to work together to ensure that the system, first off, is repaired from what the disaster of that former failed government, but to ensure that we're all working together in the best way to ensure that the protections of children, that Manitoba children have the best possible life that they deserve and that they're entitled to. We've put money to that endeavor here in Manitoba, something that members opposite didn't do. And we have put legislation to ensure that we're moving in a good path towards jurisdiction, kinship, and customary care.
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Kirkfield Park.
Honourable Speaker, after years of closed ERs and surgical backlogs under the previous government, we're focused on staffing up healthcare and reducing wait times. As part of this plan, yesterday we announced a new surgery clinic at the Grace Hospital that will expand access to surgical care so Manitobans can get the right care faster. Can the Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care please tell Manitobans a bit more about this exciting initiative?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, after 8 years of cuts, closures, and chaos under the PCs, our government has a plan to fix healthcare. We're hiring record numbers of doctors and nurses, and we're reducing wait times with innovative solutions like the new Grace Hospital Surgery Clinic. This new initiative brings together 7 surgeons under one clinic, allowing them to assess patients sooner and coordinate care more efficiently. This means we're diverting patients away from emergency departments and we're reducing roadblocks and bottlenecks. It's a practical step to expanding surgical capacity and shortening wait times for Manitobans. There's more work to do. We're going to keep working for Manitobans.
The honourable member for Morton Winkler.
Honourable Speaker, under this NDP government, life has become unaffordable. A single mom who doesn't own a car won't save money on the gas tax. A single mom working 2 jobs shouldn't have to worry whether her children have healthy food to eat. Yet the NDP keeps taking more money from her paycheck. Why won't this NDP government give families the real relief and increase their basic personal amount to $30,000?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, here's what we say to those families. We say that we're doing the work for you. We're doing the work to ensure that we reduce your costs with things like the prenatal benefit, with, of course, things like our free birth control, all of these measures we brought forward to support families. We know that there's more work to do, and that's why we continue to bring in more affordability measures, and we're very excited about what we're going to be showing Manitobans on our upcoming budget on March 24th. But what we say again to those families is, we're here for you. We're listening.
Order.
And that's why we continue to do the work of reducing your costs through things like cuts to the gas tax.
Order, please. Order, please. The First Minister and the Leader of the Official Opposition need to come to order and quit hollering back and forth. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Here's what we say to families. We will always do the work of looking out for you, and we will continue to do the work of lowering your costs each and every day. They made life more expensive. You can count on us to get it.
Time has expired. The time for oral questions has also expired. The Honourable Opposition House Leader on House business. Please. The Honourable Opposition House Leader on House business.
Honourable Speaker, pursuant to Rule 34.8, I'm announcing that the private member's resolution to be considered on next Thursday of private members' business will be one previously put forward by the Honourable Member for Midland. The title of this resolution is Calling on the Provincial Government to Increase the Personal Tax Exemption.
Yeah, yeah.
Order, please. I would just remind members that when the Speaker is standing, they're not supposed to be moving around. It's supposed to be quiet. So pursuant to Rule 34(8), it has been announced that the private member's resolution to be considered on the next Thursday of private members' business will be one previously put forward by the Honourable Member for Midland, and the title of the resolution is Calling on the Provincial Government to Increase the Personal Tax Exemption. Petitions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, families across Manitoba face long waits and high out-of-pocket costs for therapies and support essential for autistic children. Number 2, Manitoba's current disability services and support systems do not meet the diverse needs of families raising autistic children in rural Manitoba. Number 3, currently, families raising autistic children do not have a comprehensive support systems to access information, resources, and assistance without unnecessary bureaucracy. Number 4, Manitoba families in need of supports related to autism spectrum disorder and associated social, communication, and behavior challenges face undue barriers accessing services and funding in a timely manner. Manitoba families in need of supports related to autism spectrum disorder and associated social, communication, and behavioral challenges face undue barriers accessing services and funding in a timely manner. Number 5, currently, Manitoba families are lacking supports in their local community, and service access is contingent on the ability to travel to Winnipeg. Number 6, all Manitoba children deserve the opportunity to thrive and reach their full potential, and the provincial government has a responsibility to ensure equitable service access for all, including rural and northern communities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to immediately evaluate and reform disability services to reflect the realities families are facing, including improving availability and accessibility of early intervention programs, increasing funding for therapies and support services, and providing additional resources to rural communities currently lacking adequate services. Honourable Speaker, this petition was signed by Darren Thorglason, Gary Ferguson, and Arvin Lanzen, and many, many, many other Manitobans.
Here, here.
Just a reminder, the speakers previously ruled that 3 manys is 1 too many. The honourable member for Midland.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, the background to this petition is as follows. 1. The provincial government's decision to cancel the education property tax credit and the property tax offset grant has enabled and encouraged school divisions to introduce massive tax increases. 2. These massive increases have been felt by all Manitobans and compounded by arbitrary and punitive changes to the education property tax rebate, and those changes have made many Manitobans ineligible to receive the $1,500 rebate. 3. Secondary property owners are subject to taxation without representation, as they are ineligible to vote for trustees who set the rates, yet second property owners are still required to pay full education taxes in their division. 4. Additionally, families can only claim the reduced education property tax credit on their primary residence. 5. The increases and the revocation of rebates were done with no consultation, punishing Manitobans who maintain family cabins by tying education taxation to assessed property values. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to remove education funding and taxation from property taxes and find a fair and equitable way to fund education in Manitoba. This is signed by Braden Robb, Carol Ann Hansen, Hugh Hansen, and many, many more Manitobans.
The honourable member for Swan River.
Thank you. I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, these are the reasons for this petition. Number 1, upgrading Provincial Trunk Highway 45 will accelerate economic development, as it will enhance connectivity, facilitate efficient transportation, and promote economic growth in the region. Number 2, economic development will be further enhanced as improved road infrastructure attracts businesses, encourages investment, and creates job opportunities. Number 3, roads meeting the Roads and Transportation Association of Canada, RTAC, standards improve both safety and efficiency, and they can handle heavier loads, reducing the number of trips required for goods transportation. Number 4, safer roads further benefit both commuters and commercial vehicles, minimizing accidents and damage. Number 5, upgrading to RTAC standards ensures resilience to challenges caused by climate change, such as thawing and flooding, which negatively impact road conditions. Number 6, efficient transportation networks contribute to Manitoba's economic competitiveness, as upgraded roads support interprovincial and international goods movement, benefiting both trade and commerce. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure to take the necessary steps to upgrade Provincial Trunk Highway 45 from Russell to Provincial Trunk 10 to meet RTAC standards. This petition has been signed by Miles Parr, Jode Cook, Glenn Catchin, and many, many other Manitobans.
No further petitions. The Honourable Member for Red River North.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, Kelly Verway, a beloved young woman from Portage La Prairie, Manitoba, was tragically killed in a car crash caused by a repeat violent offender with a long criminal history. Number 2, despite repeated violations of his bail conditions, the offender was free to roam the streets and to ultimately claim Kelly's life. This tragedy was entirely preventable. While the criminal code, number 3, while the criminal code falls under federal jurisdiction, provinces have been given the responsibility for the administration of justice, allowing for meaningful provincial action on bail reform to ensure public safety. Number 4, other provinces have taken prospective steps to strengthen bail enforcement, but Manitoba has not used all the available tools to address this issue effectively. Number 5, the provincial government has the ability and the responsibility to advocate for and implement measures that protect its citizens by ensuring that repeat violent offenders are not released into our communities without proper safeguards. Number 6, immediate action is required to close gaps in the justice system that allow dangerous criminals to remain free, which puts innocent Manitobans at risk. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to take immediate and decisive action on bail reform to address serious deficits in enforcement by utilizing all available provincial mechanisms to strengthen warrant enforcement, increasing bail supervision, and opposing release of offenders, thus ensuring that repeat violent offenders are held accountable and that public safety is prioritized over leniency. And number 2, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to immediately repeal provisions of the criminal code that allow for continued of law-abiding citizens while gaining repeat offenders additional rights. Honorable Speaker, this petition is signed by Anita Jansen Garmel, Don Orton, Carla Schmidt, and many Manitobans. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Springfield-Rochelle.
I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. 1. Thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and surrounding community have greatly benefited from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of an MRI machine. 2. An MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses a magnetic field and computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. 3. Portage La Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on the #1 highway in the Southern Health, Santé Sud Health Authority. Currently, there's only one MRI machine in the RHA. 4. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients, as well as reduce the burden on stretcher service and ambulance use. It will bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. 5. Located around Portage, La Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nations reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. 6. Located in close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is the Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. 7. The average wait times for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. To urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage, La Prairie, Manitoba. This is signed by Beverly Phillips, Kathy Dowd, and many other Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for Steinbach.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, and the background for this petition is as follows. 1. Thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinico and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and the surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of an MRI machine. 2. An MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses a magnetic field and computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. 3. Portage La Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on the #1 highway in Southern Health, Santé Sud Authority. Currently, there is only one MRI machine in the RHA. 4. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients, as well as reduce the burden on stretcher service and ambulance use. It'll bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. 5. Located around Portage La Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nations reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. Located in close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is the Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI services. 7. The average wait times for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. And Honourable Deputy Speaker, this petition is signed by Gordon Tidsbury, Jan Kreitzer, Bill Carpenter, and many other fine Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for La Vérendrye.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. 1. The residents of La Vérendrye and other areas around Manitoba are extremely frustrated and concerned by the provincial government's decision to cancel a school expansion project for Green Valley School in Grunthal. 2. In 2021, the PC provincial government committed funding to expand Green Valley School for a new gymnasium and classrooms. 3, the school is so crowded that 3 mobile classrooms were added to alleviate overcrowding in classrooms. 4, in order for construction to begin, the school removed all 3 portable classrooms, leaving Green Valley in a further critical state of overcrowding. 5, as a result of overcrowding, parents are choosing to homeschool their children due to safety concerns and the challenges associated with overcrowding. 6, the current Premier of Manitoba and the Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning have said they are committed to investing in education. 7, the concerns of residents of La Vérendrye and the surrounding area are being ignored by the provincial government. 8, the lack of space in the school is affecting the quality of education and extracurricular activities for students. 9, the Minister and Premier have a duty to respond to the educational needs of children and youth identified by rural communities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. 1, to urge the Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning to immediately bring back the 3 portable classrooms to help alleviate the stress and overcrowding classrooms. 2, to urge the provincial government to reinstate the expansion project for Green Valley School. This petition has been signed by Noah Dirksen, John Williamson, Cindy Braski, and many, many other Manitobans.
The honourable member for Agassiz.
I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. Number 2, the new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, PTH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader Western Manitoba geographic area. Number 3, CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed 3-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases, and the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with sharper and clearer images. Number 4, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks, and there are over 14,000 patients on the wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. Number 5, the new CT scanner will reduce these wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays to access the care that they need. Number 6, the new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. Number 7, a CT scanner in the Neepawa Health Center will enable further treatment and diagnosis to take place in community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Center in Neepawa, Manitoba. This petition is signed by Lorraine Denbo, Daphne Hall, Pat Fedoruk, and many, many more fine Manitobans.
The honourable member for Lakeside.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and I wish to present the following petition. And the background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, in 2022, according to Statistics Canada, there was an 11.4% increase in food prices. Number 2, staple food products such as baked goods, margarine, and other oils, dairy products, and eggs have seen some of the largest price increases. Number 3, agriculture and the agri-food sectors contribute close to 10% of Manitoba's GDP. Number 4, there are increased costs added at every step of the process for Manitoba's agriculture producers. In order to make 18 cents from one bread loaf worth of wheat, farmers are paying carbon tax at every stage of production to grow the crop and get it to market. Number 5, grain drying, fertilizer and chemical production, mushroom farming, hog operations, the cost of heating livestock barns, machine shops, and utility buildings are all examples of how the carbon tax on natural gas and other fuels costs farmers and consumers more each year. Number 6, in food production, there are currently no viable alternatives to natural gas and propane. The carbon tax takes money away from farmers, making them less profitable and hindering rural agricultural producers' ability to invest in upgrades and improve efficiency while reducing emissions. Number 7, the provincial government neglected farmers in the 6-month fuel tax holiday until the opposition critic and local stakeholder groups called for their inclusion. Number 8, other provincial jurisdictions and leaders have taken action on calling on the federal government to remove the punishing carbon tax and or stop collecting the carbon tax altogether. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to call on the federal government to remove the punishing carbon tax on natural gas and other fuels and farm inputs for Manitoba agricultural producers, and the agri-food sector to decrease the costs of putting food onto the table for Manitoba consumers. This petition has been signed by James Lazinski, Jack Seisler, and Dennis Samard, and many, many other Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, Kelly Verway, a beloved young woman from Portage La Prairie, Manitoba, was tragically killed in a car crash caused by a repeat violent offender with a long criminal history. Number 2, despite repeated violations of his bail conditions, the offender was free to roam the streets and to ultimately claim Kelly's life. This tragedy was entirely preventable. Number 3, while the criminal code falls under federal jurisdiction, provinces have been given the responsibility for the administration of justice, allowing for meaningful provincial action on bail reform to ensure public safety. Number 4, other provinces have taken proactive steps to strengthen bail enforcement, but Manitoba has not used all the available tools to address this issue effectively. Number 5, the provincial government has the ability and responsibility to advocate for and implement measures that protect its citizens by ensuring that repeat violent offenders are not released into our communities without the proper safeguards. Number 6, immediate action is required to close gaps in the justice system that allow dangerous criminals to remain free, which puts innocent Manitobans at risk. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to take immediate and decisive action on bail reform to address serious deficits in enforcement by utilizing all available provincial mechanisms to strengthen warrant enforcement, increasing bail supervision, and opposing release of offenders, thus ensuring that repeat violent offenders are held accountable and that public safety is prioritized over leniency. And number 2, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to immediately repeal provisions of the criminal code that allow for continued victimization of law-abiding Manitobans while granting repeat offenders additional rights. This has been signed by Arden Masson, Tom McIsaac, Nicole Tarrick, and many, many more Manitobans. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Lac du Bonnet.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. And these are the reasons for this petition. The Winnipeg River Planning District, in its proposed development plan, bylaw 83-/25, is lifting a moratorium on new cottage development on the Bird River in the rural municipality of Alexander. Multiple studies including but not limited to the 1977 Bird River Sector Plan by Westland Planning Consultants that was reaffirmed in the 2008 BRCO survey results by Lombard North Group, concluded that the river had already exceeded its safe carrying capacity. These studies highlighted overcrowding, boating conflicts, and environmental pressures that would only worsen with further development. Shoreline development and deforestation risks accelerating habitat loss of at-risk animal, bird, and fish species, shoreline erosion, and water quality decline. These impacts will extend beyond the Bird River into Lac Tabani and the Winnipeg River system. The claim made by the Winnipeg River Planning District that rising boat numbers on Bird River prove the moratorium has failed is deeply flawed. In reality, the moratorium has been effective in preventing even greater overcrowding. There's been a complaint registered with the Office of the Ombudsman surrounding the process by which the public hearing on September 11, 2025 was conducted. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations to prevent the lifting of the development moratorium on Bird River proposed by the Winnipeg River Planning District. This petition is signed by Sikra Lapointe, Marianne Kruger, Greg Lebrecht, and many, many more fine Manitobans.
The honourable member for Brandon West.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number one, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC government, provincial government, as part of the clinical and preventative services plan, construction for the new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of an MRI machine. An MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses a magnetic field and computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. Number three, Portage La Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on the #1 highway in the Southern Health Santé Sud Health Authority. Currently, there is only one MRI machine in the RHA. Four, MRI machine located in Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients, as well as reduce the burden on stretcher service and ambulance use. It will bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. Number five, located around Portage La Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nations reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada are disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. Number 6, located in close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is the Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. Number 7, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. Honourable Deputy Speaker, this petition was signed by Norm Winter, Claudine Landry, Brett Dickinson, and many, many other fine Manitobans.
Seeing no further petitions, grievances, orders of the day, government business, the honourable member for Steinbach.
On House business, Honourable Deputy Speaker, I'd like to announce that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Friday, April 10th, 2026 at 3 p.m. to consider the following: the Auditor General's report managing IT security for remote access dated March 2024. I'd further like to announce that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Friday, April 10th, 2026 at 5 p.m. to consider the following: the Auditor General's report follow-up of previously issued recommendations dated March 2023, Vital Statistics Agency, and the Auditor General's report follow-up of previously issued recommendations dated February 2025, Vital Statistics Agency. Further, I'd like to announce that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Friday, May 15th, 2026 at 2 p.m. to consider the following: annual report and public accounts of the province of Manitoba for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024, the Auditor General's report, public accounts, and other financial statement audits dated December 2024, the annual report and public accounts of the province of Manitoba for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025, the Auditor General's report, public accounts, and other financial statement audits dated December 2025, the Auditor General's report, follow-up of recommendations dated March 2019, kiosk process costs and adverse effects agreements with First Nations, and the Auditor General's report, follow-up recommendations dated March 2020, kiosk process costs and adverse effects agreements with First Nations, public accounts, and other financial statements audits. And finally, I'd like to announce that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Friday, February 15th, 2026 at 4 p.m. to consider the following: the Auditor General's report, investigations report dated August 2021, Shellmouth Dam Compensation Program, and the Auditor General's report, follow-up of previously issued recommendations dated February 2024, investigations report, Shellmouth Dam Compensation Program, and the Auditor General's report follow up a previously issued recommendations dated February 2026 investigations report, Shellmouth Dam Compensation Program.
It has been announced that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Friday, April 10th, 2026 at 3 p.m. to consider the following. Auditor General's report, Managing IT Security for Remote Access, dated March 2024. It has also been announced that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Friday, April 10th, 2026 at 5 p.m. to consider the following. Auditor General's report, follow-up of previously issued recommendations, dated March 2023. Vital Statistics Agency, Auditor's General reports, follow-up of previously issued recommendations dated February 2025, Vital Statistics Agency. It has also been announced that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Friday, May 15th, 2026 at 2 p.m. to consider the following. Annual Report and Public Accounts of the Province of Manitoba for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024. Auditor General's report, Public Accounts and other financial statements, audits dated December 2024. Annual Report and Public Accounts of the Province of Manitoba for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025. Auditor General's report, Public Accounts and other financial statement audits dated December 2025. Auditor General's report, follow-up of recommendations dated March 2019. Kiosk process costs and adverse effects agreements with First Nations. Auditor's report general, follow-up recommendations dated March 2020. Kiosk process costs and adverse effects agreements with First Nations, public accounts, and other financial statements audits. And it has finally been announced that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Friday, May 15th, 2026 at 4 p.m. to consider the following. Auditor General's report, investigations report dated August 2021, Shellmouth Dam Compensation Program. Auditor General's report, follow-up of previously issued recommendations dated February 2024. Investigations report, Shellmouth Dam Compensation Program. And Auditor General's report, follow-up of previously issued recommendations dated February 2026. Investigations report, Shellmouth Dam Compensation Program. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Miigwech, can you please call for the start of second reading of Bill 17, the Adult Abuse Registry Amendment Act?
It has been called that we will move on to the second reading of Bill 17, the Adult Abuse Registry Amendment Act. The Honourable Minister of Families.
Miigwech, I move, seconded by the Minister for Education, that Bill number 17, the Adult Abuse Registry Amendment Act, be now read a second time and be referred to a committee of this House.
It has been moved by the Honourable Minister of Families, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning, that Bill number 17, the Adult Abuse Registry Amendment Act, loi modifiant la loi sur le registre des mauvais traitements infligés aux adultes, be now read a second time and be referred to a committee of this House. The Honourable Minister of Families. The Honourable Minister of Families.
Bill 17 is a response to reports and recommendations over the past few years related to investigations of persons who allegedly abuse or neglect patients or adults with an intellectual disability, and recommendations related to the process of placing offenders on the Adult Abuse Registry. In July 2023, the Office of the Auditor General released a report outlining a number of issues within the Protection of Persons in Care Office, or PPCO. The PPCO investigates allegations of abuse or neglect of patients in health facilities. Under the former PC government, the PPCO allowed an investigation backlog to grow to more than 5 years, choosing to do little, if anything, to rectify the issue. The Auditor General's report was followed by an investigation and report from Justice William Burnett, who made recommendations for the PPCO as well as the Adult Abuse Registry Committee and the Adult Abuse Registry. Justice Burnett's report was released last fall, and his contract with the province concluded August of 2025. My team worked consistently and collaboratively with Justice Burnett through to July 2025 to clarify his recommendations and propose next steps. I also had the opportunity to meet with him in my office and had a very good conversation about the recommendations. This is the first of the legislative changes the Department of Families is bringing forward with respect to the Adult Abuse Registry Act and the committee. Further policy and legislative changes are also coming later in 2026. My department staff continue to engage with the PPCO, the PPIU, and the AAR to review the recommendations and develop further legislative policies proposals for implementations. Since the auditor's report in 2023, our government has worked tirelessly to eliminate the substantial backlog at the PPCO caused by the former government. The PPCO has increased its staffing complement, taken steps to improve internal processes, and successfully eliminated its backlog. The increased capacity at PPCO, along with the coming into force of new regulatory definitions of abuse and neglect, has resulted in an increase in referrals to the Adult Abuse Registry Committee. The way that the investigative units and the Adult Abuse Registry work together can feel complex. I'll try to explain it as clearly as possible so that we can all understand why this amendment is an important first step in building a better future. The Adult Abuse Registry Committee is a quasi-judicial administrative tribunal established under the Adult Abuse Registry Act. It reviews reports of alleged abuse and neglect of specified adults for potential referral to the Adult Abuse Registry. A specified adult means an adult living with an intellectual disability defined under the Adults with Living with an Intellectual Disability Act, or ALIDA, and as patient as defined under the Protection for Persons in Care Act. While the committee's procedures are less formal than the courts, they operate on similar judicial principles of natural justice and fairness. The Department of Families, through the Provincial Investigative Unit for Adults Living with an Intellectual Disability, investigates allegations of abuse or neglect under ALIDA. The Department of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care, through PPCO, investigates allegations of abuse or neglect under the Protection of Persons in Care Act. Substantiated investigations are referred by designated officers from the respective departments to the Adult Abuse Registry Committee for its review, which is done through hearing panels. Under Section 19 of the Adult Abuse Registry Act, if the committee suspects the abuse or neglect as reported by the designated officer has occurred, the committee must give the alleged offender an opportunity to provide information to the committee. This essentially creates a two-step process where the first panel is convened to review the allegations and vote on suspected abuse. If abuse is suspected, and in nearly all cases it is, notice is served on the alleged offender. Once served, the alleged offender has the opportunity to provide a response to the allegations, following which a second panel is scheduled, where the committee will form its opinion on whether abuse/neglect has occurred, and if so, whether the offender's name should be added to the registry. The proposed amendment to Section 19 of the AARA will eliminate the procedural need for the first panel by removing the precondition of, and I quote, if the committee suspects, end quote, abuse or neglect. So the committee can instead send notice to the alleged offender on receipt of a referral from the designated officer. This change is expected to help the committee manage increasing numbers of reports that are referred to it annually, resulting in faster and more efficient assessment of AARC referrals to help keep vulnerable adults safe. Scheduling panels can be complex. Panel members are required to be knowledgeable about abuse and neglect and the need to protect persons from abuse and neglect. Under the regulations, members are required to either be law enforcement officials, lawyers, health professionals, persons with experience in providing care or services to specified adults, or those bring other specialized skills to the table to be able to provide thoughtful and informed review. As folks can imagine, these are very busy people, and the particular skills these members bring to carefully matched to the type of cases that they will be hearing is not simply a random selection of available members. The cases they are hearing are often complex, include a considerable volume of materials, and take substantial review time, both in terms of preparation for the hearings and hearings themselves. The increase in referrals from investigative units have strained the capacity of the committee, and the department has a great deal of time and effort is required to coordinate committee panel hearings. The proposed amendment addresses this problem by effectively cutting the number of hearings panels in half. Eliminating the first panel hearings would mean every alleged offender would have to respond to allegations of abuse and neglect. However, in practice, there have been very few instances where a referral has been dropped at the first panel stage. This is primarily because allegations are professionally investigated by a designated officer before making a referral. As a result, eliminating a first panel screening process for the committee is much less a concern in comparison to instances where complaints to other quasi-judicial bodies such as the Human Rights Commission are lodged by the public and not investigated before referral. I believe all members of this House want to see improvements to the protections we offer people in care and other specified adults, part of our shared commitment to keep vulnerable Manitobans safe. This bill is a key component of that process, and I say miigwech to all honourable members for supporting this bill. Miigwech.
A question period of up to 15 minutes will be held. Questions may be addressed to the minister by any opposition or independent member in the following sequence. First question by the official opposition critic or designate. Subsequent questions asked by critics or designates from other recognized opposition parties. Subsequent questions asked by each independent member. Remaining questions asked by any opposition members, and no question or answer shall exceed 45 seconds. The floor is open for questions. The honourable member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. And I think we all want to acknowledge the fact that we all want to protect Manitobans, our most vulnerable people here in our province. And I just have a question for the minister. If new information comes forward after a decision is made, are there mechanisms that exist for reviewing or maybe reconsidering a registry decision?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
I think it's really important that we discuss that the Office of the Auditor General released a scathing report on the issues within the Protections of Persons in Care Office. And this report, or the recommendations from Justice William Burnett, who I want to just take a moment to say miigwech, I think will address a lot of the issues and ensure that we are putting folks that need to be on the registry, that we're putting them on, and the folks that aren't supposed to be on the registry will not be on the registry. But this also gives an opportunity for folks that we will skip that first panel and go immediately to where the alleged offender has an opportunity to also provide all of the information pertinent to the whether or not they go on the adult abuse registry.
The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
If a person has been found to have been put on the registry inappropriately, is there a process for removal from the registry? Is there something there that can have that process expedited?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
You know, what we tried to do in the notes here was try to explain the way that it works. And the best way that I think that we can explain is that the investigative processes are like the police, right? So you have these two different investigative processes like the police, and the panels are these it's like the court. And so we have extremely efficient and capable investigators that provide all of the information to the alleged offender, to the panel, and in this like quasi-judicial court piece comes with the recommendations that is based on all of the information that was previously investigated, and also with the opportunity for the alleged offender to have that say as well.
The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
Will individuals continue to receive adequate notice and access to the evidence being considered by the committee before the hearing takes place?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
Our folks try to make sure that the alleged offender gets all of the information that they're entitled to get. And what I will share is that, as folks I'm sure in the chamber can imagine, it's not always easy to actually find these alleged offenders. Sometimes these alleged offenders move, or they move out of province. We have extraordinary individuals that work in this office, and again, that investigative process is top notch. That work with ensuring that the alleged offender gets all of the information that they are supposed to get in this process.
Seeing no further questions, the floor is open for debate. The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I've already mentioned before that all of us here in this legislature do want to work to protect our vulnerable people here in Manitoba. And the Adult Abuse Registry is a tool that we have, a mechanism that we have where we can use to help in protecting those individuals. Bill 17 does look at streamlining some of that process, maybe eliminating some of the backlog, as well as the length of time it takes for an individual's name to show up on that registry. Every Manitoban deserves to live in a space that is free of abuse, and every Manitoban deserves to live with dignity. Every vulnerable adult and child deserves to know that their legislature and those that are here to represent them work to take their protection very seriously. And I look forward to getting this bill sent to committee and seeing Bill 17 work to protect our most vulnerable here in our province of Manitoba.
No further debate. Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is second reading of Bill number 17, the Adult Abuse Registry Amendment Act. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. Government House Leader.
Thank you much, Deputy Honourable Speaker. I would like to announce that the Standing Committee on Justice will meet on Wednesday, March 18th, 2026 at 6 p.m. to consider the following. Bill 2, the Non-Consensual Distribution of Intimate Images Amendment Act. Bill 3, the Manitoba Public Insurance Corporation Amendment Act. Bill 4, the Constitutional Questions Amendment Act. Bill 10, the Employment Standards Code Amendment Act, Attachment Leave for Adoption and Surrogacy. Bill 17, the Adult Abuse Registry Amendment Act. Bill 30, the Intimate Partner Violence Death Review Committee Act. And finally, Bill 31, the Highway Traffic Amendment Act.
It has been announced that the Standing Committee on Justice will meet on Wednesday, March 18th, 2026 at 6 p.m. to consider the following. Bill 2, the Non-Consensual Distribution of Intimate Images Amendment Act. Bill 3, the Manitoba Public Insurance Corporation Amendment Act. Bill 4, the Constitutional Questions Amendment Act. Bill 10, the Employment Standards Code Amendment Act. Attachment Leave for Adoption and Surrogacy. Bill 17, the Adult Abuse Registry Amendment Act. Bill 30, the Intimate Partner Violence Death Review Committee. And Bill 31, the Highway Traffic Amendment Act. The Government House Leader.
Miigwech, is it the will of the House to call it 5 p.m.?
Is there leave to call it 5 p.m.? Great. Agreed and so ordered. The time being 5 p.m., this House is adjourned and stands adjourned until 1:30 p.m. on Monday.